Let's talk communicating with your ancestors, because it's something I get asked about fairly frequently over on TikTok. You don't need a whole lot to communicate with your ancestors. It can be as simple or as complicated as you would like to make it. The things that I suggest when you want to start communicating with them is a glass of water and a white candle. Along with that would be your divination tool of choice, be it pendulum, dowsing rod, tarot, oracle cards, bone throwing, scrying, smoke, whichever that you choose, or whichever one works the best for you. I will give one other slight suggestion for an item to have with you for it, and that would be something that your ancestors would like. A food item, an alcohol that they would prefer, imagery that they would have resonated with from, say, their own religious practice or from the area that they grew up in, an item from their home, even if you're wanting to communicate with more recent ancestors. Once you have your stuff together, all you need to do is you sit down, you put the water in the glass. That is an energy source, just for those that are curious about the water. And you light your candle, which is also an energy source for them. And if you are someone who likes to meditate, you can meditate during this process. I personally don't do well with meditation. The squirrel brain takes over. And you invite them into your space. You generally only want to invite the ones that are for your highest good. So I would include that in your invitation. I invite into my space my ancestors and spirit guides that are here for my highest good. Something along those lines. And from there, once you have everything set up, you can begin your divination process, your meditation process. If you don't have or don't use divination tools, you can rely on clair messages through the mind or through the mind's eye, images that you are being given. You can listen, because clairaudience is out there. A lot of people do have that ability even when they don't realize it. You can listen for messages. If you're doing this outside in nature, you can watch for signs in the wind, in the trees, in the sounds of the animals, because your ancestors and guides can communicate with you in many, many different ways. Now, if you don't get any answers the first go around, there's nothing wrong with that. You didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes your ancestors are a little standoffish. They can also be shy. If there's someone around you while you're doing this, it could be that they are not trusting of that person, which I do encounter frequently. But just because it doesn't happen the first time for you isn't a reason to give up trying. Other ways that you can make connections with your ancestors would be through a spiritual investigation, which is in essence a seance, in which you have a table of mediums call down your ancestors and spirit guides to identify for you and to communicate with. But the at-home candle and a glass of water and divination is the best way to get started in communicating with your ancestors.